Welcome to Manny's TV Talk, where we will talk about all of our favorite reality TV shows and news surrounding them. Grab a snack, a drink, and get comfortable because this starts now.
Hey everybody, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the new episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. That's season 15, episode 10. You guys, this is actually the first episode this season that I've enjoyed from the beginning to the end. It was a great episode. Let's talk about it. The episode actually starts off, it's Thanksgiving. So in the beginning, Kandi was giving people some food, like donating. That was the day before Thanksgiving, but then on the day of, we saw each of the individual women and their families just celebrating Thanksgiving. Kenya had her father there. That was awesome, and everybody had a great time. Then a few days later, after Thanksgiving, Ralph had an idea for a brunch for all the women to come with their husbands. They all arrived there with their husbands and boyfriends, except Kenya, of course, and Shereé didn't bring Martell either. So Courtney brought her baby daddy, who apparently knows Drew. He knows Kenya, and Kandi even knows him. Isn't it funny how Kandi always seems to know somebody's boyfriend? I found that funny. Also, let me say this though. When Drew's sister came, she introduced her to everybody, and Kandi said, "Yeah, I had never met her." And Drew says, "Oh yes, well, she was at the music video." I do feel like she was trying to make Kandi feel a little bit bad for not going. And then the last one to arrive was Marlo, and guess who she came with, you guys? She came with her new boo, that man that she went on the date with. So it looks like she must really like him if she's bringing him over. He was wearing like a sweater though, and of course bitter Kenya had to throw some shade about what he was wearing, that he got it on eBay. I mean, how hateful can you be? You have no man next to you, but you're criticizing somebody's man, whatever though. And Kandi though also knows him because he is the owner of the famous restaurant. But again, Kandi knows everyone. But I will say Kandi did seem a little happy for Marlo, so that's good. They bring up this movie as they're all sitting on the table that Kandi and Todd are doing, and Drew has been casted as the lead, and Kenya, trying to make everything about herself, says, "Well, why wasn't I casted?" I did think she was just joking. I think she was just teasing. I don't think she was actually being serious. But in her confessional, Drew did say, well, now Kenya, your acting career is non-existent. And I just checked. Kenya did not like that. She went on Twitter to say that she was disappointed, but a lot of people reminded her of how she made fun of Drew's music video. But then Roy calls Kenya on FaceTime. She turns the phone to show all the girls, and apparently Marlo went on a date with him before. And when she said that, Kenya just walked away. Marlo proves it. She pulls up her phone and she pulls up the DMs from Instagram, and Shereé throws some fun shade. She's like, well, Kandi knows how to look at those because of what happened with Martell. And after that, the men served the women some food. The food looked great, I will say that. Some of the women, though, like Sanya, wanted to keep bringing this up. So she says, what are the odds that Kenya and Marlo dated the same man? And Kenya says, I'm glad that he knew what not to date, or I'm glad that he left. Whatever. Marlo said she can have her seconds. And Shereé, though, in her confessional says Kenya created an atomic bomb because Martell told her that she looked good on Instagram. Where was all that energy? And I agree with Shereé, but Shereé, you already know she didn't have that energy because she's fake. She has that selective memory. But then Shereé is also shady, you guys, because as they were eating, Shereé says to Drew, "Are you going to pay this chef that you brought?" Because someone is suing Drew for not paying them. But you know how much the amount is? $1,000. Come on, Drew, just pay that $1,000. And then Shereé talks about this trip that they are going on, and the goal is to everyone have a good mental space and to fix some of those relationships that haven't been on the best of terms. Kenya mentioned something though about Courtney, a little something. It happened so fast, but Kenya mentioned the incident that Courtney had with Kandi, And, Courtney is very animated, so she starts to talk, and Kenya just says, "Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Just letting you know, don't touch me." And honestly, it was the way she was saying it. I think that Kenya can just come across so evil sometimes. And then we see some footage after of the girls packing because it's time for this cast trip to Portugal. They go to the airport and then they eventually arrive. Kandi, though, had a really bad trip. Looks like she had some food poisoning and her bodily functions were out of control on the plane. And then they ride on a Sprinter once they arrive, and Shereé says that, "Please, everyone, remember what we're here for. It's to try and fix things." They arrive at the hotel, which was great. Shereé planned it awesome. I will say I was seeing that Marlo was trying it. Like, from her part, I could see that with Kandi because she even offered her some juice so her stomach would stop hurting. And then the women, like, as soon as they go to the hotel, they go to a lunch. And some of them are calling their men to let them know that they made it. And Drew shares that her husband Ralph is quote unquote working at Vegas with a female assistant. And the whole thing sounded shady and like a bunch of red flags. But this female assistant or producer or whatever wants Ralph to audition to be like a black version of Magic Mike. I don't know, that whole thing sounded weird, and the other women thought so as well. And then the ladies then go to their rooms. Some of them talk to each other. I don't know if it was because like they were closer to each other's rooms, but Drew and Monyetta talk by themselves. Turns out Drew doesn't really know the geography of the continent of Africa. That's embarrassing. But Monyetta does say that she has an orphanage in Africa, which that's awesome. But then Drew tells her that she is feeling a little bit annoyed at Shereé for digging and asking things like she did about the chef. Also, turns out that Marlo dating Roy is on everyone's mouth. Kandi and Kenya were talking in their room, and Kenya said that she actually already knew. The guy had told her, but she throws some shade to deflect from it. She says that he didn't need to pay for P. You're the one that has to pay for D, but okay. Sanya and Marlo are also talking somewhere else, and Sanya says like, "Wow, what a hypocrite. She made such a spectacle of Martel, and now look at this." But this man actually went on a date with Marlo. But Marlo seems unbothered. She says that she went on one date. He was nice, but he was a little corny. He just wasn't for her. But she says that he can actually be great for Kenya. She doesn't seem to be throwing any hate whatsoever until Sanya tells her what Kenya said back at the lunch. And then she says, "Well, you know what? I've only been with one man on this show. Like, that's all y'all have ever seen me with. Y'all have seen her with so many." And the producers were so shady. They showed an entire collage across the screen of all the men that Kenya has paid to, that Kenya has brought on the show. So that was funny. Then a little later, they get ready and they head out for dinner. They all looked great. They sit down in the restaurant. They order. They're eating. And Shereé brings up again this like trying to mend relationships. So Courtney says, "Okay, since we're bringing it up, Kenya, I didn't know that you had an issue with me." Kenya apparently talked to Shereé earlier and was talking about Courtney. So Shereé told Courtney, and Courtney says that she is feeling some mean girl energy with Kenya. Okay, but then Drew brings up this chef lawsuit that Shereé has been talking about because she didn't just mention it at the brunch. Apparently, she's been saying it again and again. So Drew says, "You know what, Shereé, this is personal. This affects my life. You're not being loyal as a friend." And Shereé says, whoa, hold up. First of all, we are not friends. We're getting there. And weren't you the one who was lying about me after the reunion, going on the radio, talking about me? They were getting very heated and activated. And Drew says, "We had already talked about that." They are still talking about whether or not Shereé confiscated the She by Shereé merchandise that she gave them at the reunion. Actually, some of the women confirmed that it was true, that they were limited to getting certain things and they were asked to give back other things. But anyway, Drew says, whatever, that was in the past. This is the present. You're saying things that can really impact my personal life. And Shereé says, doesn't feel good, does it? And do y'all remember when Phaedra, this is a long time ago, when Phaedra said, "Boo boo, darling, oatmeal pie face"? Shereé would not be the one to mess with. That's what I was thinking, because Shereé was activated, y'all. Like, this was the old Shereé coming out, the one that fought with Nene and all them. But so Drew was like, "So is this what this is? Are you trying to teach me a lesson?" And again, Shereé was coming at her, calling her a liar, calling her this, calling her that. I gotta say, Marlo was being the comedic relief. She was saying some funny things to try to like ease the situation. It was hilarious. But then, you guys, Drew couldn't handle it. She got up, stormed out with tears on her face. I do feel bad for anyone who ever is like crying. I do feel bad for them, because like that's their emotion, you know? I even felt bad for Telly Mellencamp when she was crying, even though I can't stand her. But as much as I feel bad for Drew, this is the Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you're gonna be scared, if you can't handle the heat, get out the kitchen. This is Shereé. And Drew didn't even have a problem coming after Marlo for the past episode, so I do feel bad for her, but not really. But that was the end of the episode. Shereé and Kenya go after Drew, so we'll see what happens in that next week. But this trip is definitely going to be crazy, but I'm glad. You know what it is? I think that when you have the entire group together, when you have all the personalities forced to be together, you get much more out of it. So I feel like that's what makes it a little bit more interesting. But again, I can't wait for the rest of this trip. But that was it for now. You guys, let me know what were your thoughts and your comments about this episode, about this trip, about Drew and Shereé. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch y'all next time. You'll have a great one. Bye.